Hi everyone, I'm Paige Abbott and this is your weekly recovery message. Last week I talked about how people can get escape reward relief, or in other words, intoxication off of enmeshment in relationships. Basically where we lose the focus on ourselves for another person. I'd been requested to talk a little bit more about enmeshment, so this week I thought I would talk about the fuel for enmeshment, basically what drives enmeshment. And specifically, I'll talk about fantasy, control, and avoidance. I think the basis of enmeshment is often this fantastical, idealistic, and therefore unrealistic vision of what relationships should look like. This can be a romantic relationship, it can be a parent-child relationship, sibling, even a friendship where you're carrying ideas about how close, how intimate, how tight, how much sharing, how much time spent together, how much overlap there is between you and this other person. Addiction takes this and just pushes it to the extreme, where people do truly lose sight of and a sense of who they are because they're so focused in upholding and maintaining and trying to create this fantasy idea of a relationship. And often as they're trying to do that, this can lead to control, where the person will just do anything that they possibly can to control the other person and control the relationship to get that outcome of the fantasy, which of course isn't real or idealistic and therefore isn't possible, but the brain will keep trying and pushing, which ultimately can push the other person away. Or if they're also in a place where they're craving enmeshment, it may pull them towards you, but in a very dysfunctional dance. The other thing that enmeshment can do is it does perpetuate avoidance. And avoidance of what? Avoidance of other relationships where there's interdependence, there's a healthy space between you and the other person, and also avoidance of uncomfortable feelings, including shame. So when people are enmeshed, over-focused on another person, trying to create this fantasy version of an ideal relationship, they're distracted from looking at their own relationship with themselves. And often people who are enmeshed are not feeling very confident or very worthy within themselves. So having this enmeshed person around validates and provides a sense of meaning and worth, even though it is ultimately quite superficial and really doesn't solve or heal that shame place or that self-worth place within. Obviously, that will be a work in progress. It will never be completely fixed or completely resolved, but recognizing that there needs to be space between you and other people, not isolation, but healthy detachment, healthy interdependence, where you have your own life, you have your own goals, your own priorities, other relationships, and other ways of taking care of yourself that don't all revolve around this other person or this fantasy relationship. This can be very hard for people to let go of, and it is something that you may need to work on day by day. How do you work on it? Well, you can challenge some of these fantasy scripts. You can really connect to the inner dialogue of what your brain is telling you things should look like, rather than looking at reality. You can learn to sit with feelings, process those uncomfortable feelings, sit with self, cultivate and develop a relationship with a higher power or spirituality, and broaden your relationship network. So have multiple people in your life that you're connecting with, that you're turning to, so that you don't get over-focused on this enmeshed relationship. You can also consult with a counselor and start working on boundaries, detachment, and learning to look after yourself while still having connection in your life. I wish you the best in your ongoing journey of recovery for the week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.